Power of sale listings and foreclosures in Ontario seem to be all the rage right now. Buyers are looking for any edge in this market as prices continue to correct, and power of sales and foreclosures seem to be an opportunity where many think they can get a great deal. I had the opportunity to sit down with Daniel Foch this week to do a little interview with him to recap some stats. So if you've already seen that video over on his channel, I'm about to play it again right now, that interview. But stick with me after the interview as I share a couple more insights that we didn't get a chance to talk about during that interview, something that I think you'll find really cool. So it's all gonna be timestamped in the video as well. I'm gonna include a link down below. If you are looking for any information on power of sales in your area, you can scan the code that you see on screen right now. If you put in touch with me right away, I can send you a full list of everything that my brokerage has put together. If you want anything customized as well, always feel free to reach out. Like I said, all the information is down in the description of this video. Enjoy the interview, and I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, Rob. Personally, my favorite YouTuber, to be honest with you. I've been
Wow.
meaning to do. I think we've done like a couple of like reference your stuff and whatever, but I've been meaning to do a video with you, and I figured no time like the present to hit this power of sales stuff because you're one of the most researched and learned folks in the space when it comes to these micro data points, and I wanted to pick your brain on what you're seeing. So, what are we going to cover today?
Flattered, Dan. Thank you. Well, what I did is I took some time, pulled some numbers going back to 2010. A lot of buzz about power sale listings, like you said off the top, this
Yeah.
year, last few years, I guess. The question always is like, are you really getting a better deal on a power of sale listing than you are at just something that is out there on the MLS? So I dug
What
into
does the
some
data
numbers that
tell
I,
us then?
yeah, it tells us, I think it's something kind of cool. You might be getting a little bit better of a deal, but it's all relative. And we'll jump into that a little bit too as we get into the
Yeah.
video. But yeah, man.
Yeah, so let's then like statistically, it would say maybe you're not going to get a better deal, but you have a higher likelihood of getting a better deal potentially on one of these listings. But what I think a lot of people fail to realize is like there's a lot of conditions that come with that, right? One is, if you're buying it as a first time home buyer, as an example, and you've given your landlord notice, you could literally lose the deal until like 2 days prior to closing, right? Because that borrower could actually make the lender whole and then take the deal back at power of sale.
Yeah, they got the right of redemption. Exactly.
Yeah. But then the other piece is like you really need an experienced agent who you're not negotiating with like your typical home seller who's done this once or twice in their life. You're negotiating with shrewd lenders and lawyers, right? So when you're an agent and you're on these kind of deals, what's like sort of the approach that you take?
I kind of give my clients that heads up, right? Like you're looking at this power sale because you are thinking maybe in the American mindset, the fire
Yeah,
sales that we see down there.
for sure.
What I try to instruct them is that these listings are put together using lawyers. It's the bank's lawyers that are reviewing these things. Even the agents that are pitching these listing presentations. It's here's our pricing strategy. Here's how we're going to approach it on a week to week basis in terms of price reductions. Like it's the banks, it's their duty to get as much money as possible for that initial borrower. You're not going to be getting these fire sales. You're also, there's little intricacies like in a normal agreement of purchase and sale, we're including things like chattels that are included, your fridge, your stove, all these things. The bank's not touching any of that stuff. I'll always let clients know if you show up and there's no appliances, or technically they are the previous borrowers, they have every right to take those things. So,
Yeah.
your warranties and representations, the bank's not making any of that stuff. They weren't living in the property. They don't know about the property. So
As
it's
is, where is, right? So you take a
exactly,
lot
yeah,
of risk in that regard.
a lot of risk from that buyer perspective. So, in the few deals that I've done in the power sales space, one of them was a first time home buyer, but it was a situation where he's got his own contracting company. He kind of went with it eyes wide open. He knew what to expect and all these things. You've got to be a specific type of buyer, I feel, for these power of sale opportunities. It's not the 95% of buyers that are going to be in on these things for the deal for like just a move in ready property. It's a specific buyer that's looking at these properties.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like you really gotta be willing to play tennis a lot on the paperwork as well, like bounce it back and forth because like you can go in with a low ball and they're not gonna take it right away because they have to meaningfully illustrate that they made an effort to get market value for the property as well, right? Like the biggest sign backs that I ever see, a sign back is when you kind of send a deal back and forth. The biggest sign backs that I've ever seen in my whole life are always on power of sale deals. It's got to be like, 10, 15 times back and forth I've seen.
Totally, yeah, and I think even on that point, Dan, offer nights were the rage, right? For mid 2020 to early 2022, everything was an offer night. Even these power of sale situations, you'll usually notice an offer date, but I always tell buyers like we're not approaching this like an offer night situation. That's just because again, that lender wants to make sure the property's on market for enough time to get enough eyeballs on it and making sure that those first round of offers are going to be in and around what they're expecting. So you're not going in there. You might have to wait a little bit to make an offer on these power sale properties, but like you said, it's all about playing that. I like that tennis match, right? That back and forth between you and that lender's representative, trying to get the best deal possible for you as a buyer, for your clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other piece that you'll often see, and you see this with estate sales as well, and this will be the last piece before we get into the data, you'll often see on power of sales that they have like a long irrevocable period requested. And it's not because they're like, some people use the like 48-hour irrevocable to generate a bidding war, right? It's
Right.
different than having an offer date. But in a lot of cases, that's not their intention. It's literally just that deal needs to get collected by the agent, then it needs to go to the lawyers, and then it needs to go to, in many cases, a credit committee at a lender. So there's like, they actually need that 2-day time window to get the deal done. And that 48 hours exposes you to potential other offers, competing offers coming in, makes it the process of negotiating a deal really slow. So there's a lot of nuance to these things. And that's why I wanted to have you especially on, because I know you've done a lot of these deals. I know you're an exceptionally good agent. I wanted people to maybe give you a shout if they're looking to do these kind of deals.
Always. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Cool, man. Okay, so talk to me about, like, I know you've done a bunch of research on this. Bring the charts up. Now's the time, and we'll go through sort of what it looks like when you go to. Let's just do like percent of total right now, the stuff that you had in Excel.
Sure.
We've seen a huge increase in power of sales. You know, the dramatic headlines, 4x from the bottom, but as a percentage of total, it's like not a huge amount, right?
No, not at all. I'm just pulling it up right now. I might spoiler alert the total amount here too, but here we go. Trusty Excel. So again, the caveat here, Daniel, that we'll share with people too, is that even as realtors, there's no special power of sale button that we can click or vendor take back
Yeah.
button, right? Like we are doing searches based on keywords. And the two most common keywords I think that pop up on these power of sale deals are the words power of sale in the seller name or the word mortgage. So this is tracking the entire GTA. And by GTA, I mean from Durham in the east, York in the north, Halton to the west, and you have Peel and Toronto in there as well. It is the highest share of power of sale listings we've seen, but it's still only about 1.4% of active listings right now that contain these two words, power of sale or mortgage in the seller's name. So that's not quite at the peak that we saw at the end of last year. A lot of that had to do with volume dropping, but the number of power of sale listings not dropping quite as quickly, right? That got up to closer to 1.5, I guess, at one point last year. I wouldn't be surprised to see this number continue to climb in early 2026, the year that we're in right now. So when you look at the entire picture, right, we peaked out at 286 power of sale listings by this metric. That was back in October of last year. And in early 2026, this is as of February 9th, I do this every single week. I track these numbers. So we're up at 272 again now. You can see last year on the same time, we were dipping down. It was still below 150 active kind of power of sale listings in the GTA.
Awesome. Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because you observed that big increase, but then we've sort of like plateaued, right? Like as a both new listings on a monthly basis, and new listings for power of sales are tough because they're like very likely to get relisted, right? So there's those components. Now, talk to me a little bit about the other metrics that we use about like, am I going to get a good deal on these things? Yeah, this like statistical likelihood. How do we measure the statistical likelihood of somebody getting a better deal on a power of sale than something else? I threw these two data points at you, and you obviously collected them exceptionally well. So number one, I wanted to know how long are they spending on the market by comparison to other properties? And then number two was, what's the sale to list price ratio relative to other properties?
Yeah,
So
and I
tell
think
me a
those
little
are
bit
the
about
two
that.
best. Yeah, the two best. I totally agree with you, Dan. So we'll start with those listing days on market, just so everybody's aware. This is just for a specific listing, right? You talked about terminations and relistings. Property days on market would capture that, but there's no real good way to track that still in Ontario. Maybe you can share something with me, Dan, but not that I'm aware of. But you can see there's a clear gap, clear spread between, at least annually, how long power of sale listings stay on the market. That's his red line versus where we're at with just regular listings, I guess, normal MLS listings. So as of 2025, I guess our most recent full year that we have, it was 31 days on average for a listing to sell, whereas it was 42 days for a power of sale listing to sell. So those properties do sit on the market a little bit longer. You and I know as realtors, those are the properties you're usually targeting as good deals for your clients, ones that have been sitting for a little bit longer on the market. So there's definitely a little bit more time with these power of sale listings than you're seeing with just your generic run-of-the-mill normal seller listing, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. It is also just remarkable to see the increase in the days on market period, which is
Yeah, exactly.
crazy.
Back in those crazy days, 15 days. This is average days on market too. Like the median days on market was even less than this. I think it was like
Yeah,
7 back then, right? It
yeah,
was just
yeah.
throw the sign up a week later, the place is sold in an offer name. That's kind of how things were going.
Three P's of real estate, right? Price, put a sign up, and pray.
Exactly. That's it. You didn't even have to pray back
Yeah,
then. You have to pray
yeah,
now.
yeah,
The other metric, because I don't know, maybe we talk about why we didn't want to use average price for this one because it is an aggregate measure, right?
yeah,
I think looking relative to list price, we all know list price is just a marketing tactic as well, but I think it's a better indicator as to are you going to get a better deal on these
yeah,
properties than regular listings. So
for sure.
if we look at that, sale price is a percentage of list price is how I call it. I know sell price to list price ratio people call it, but anyways, again, red line being your power of sale listings, blue line being your normal listings. Last year, our sale listings on average were selling for about 95% of the list price, whereas your regular listings were up 98, 99% of the list price. If you're looking at that sticker price as a buyer, chances are you're going to get a better discount to list in a power of sale listing than you are on just your regular run of the mill listing right now.
Yeah, I guess it becomes one of those challenges, and again, I think this is where it's nuanced, and you want to have like an agent who really knows their stuff in your corner because in a lot of cases, these power of sale listings do list a little bit high because they have to be protective of the seller's equity, and then they'll sort of go through price reductions. So if somebody starts negotiating early, it could end up transacting. So there could be a skew there, but I would argue that even if there was, to see it being a difference of 25 basis points is substantial enough that I can confidently say to people there's probably a higher likelihood that you're going to get a good deal on a power of sale listing. I think the caveat is the things that we discussed earlier, which is you're assuming a lot of risk. So that better price that you're getting might actually be just a pricing in of the risk that you're taking with this type of deal, right?
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else you wanted to add on this before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. These are the big ones. Again, what I would offer is that if you want anything broken down specifically by region, by where you're living at, I'm always happy to put these charts together. I love doing that kind of stuff too. Yeah, man.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, Rob. Yeah, and everybody check out Rob's channel. I'm gonna put him as a collaborator on this video, so you can just like subscribe to his. He's gonna repost the same video, I think, with a different intro. It'll probably be way better than mine. So I would encourage you to go watch that. But also, we have a tool on the Valerie website that you can go and browse these listings. It only captures about 50%. So if you want to get and there's a lot of nuance in how we search for them that we just can't get more than that 50% number publicly available on a website. But if you want more than that and you want them for your listing, for your neighborhood or whatever, contact Rob and he'll get you set up. And we'd love to help you buy one in this year. Cause I think like this trend's only going to continue. We're only going to see more of these come online as we get through this renewal wall, probably this year and next year. And then I think that as an opportunity category, it starts to fade, right? So for people who are looking and who can bear all of the risks and costs associated with it that we just mentioned, it could be a decent place. I think that's why you start to see these like, the blood in the water kind of sharks swimming, circling when the market starts to turn a little bit. Rob, thanks a lot for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
I hope that conversation shed some more light on the power of sale process in Ontario and gave some cool insights as to what is happening. It does look like there is a slightly better chance you get a good deal, at least relative to the listing price when it comes to these power of sale properties. And again, those properties are sitting on the market for a little while longer than those normal listings. What I want to dive into right now to wrap the video up is how many sales are actually happening, power of sales annually going back to 2010. I put those numbers together. And then we'll also wrap things up by showing you the geographic breakdown in the GTA where most of these power of sale listings are live right now. Up first is those power of sales over time. So going back to 2010 is what this chart covers. And you can see that in the year 2010, there were 960 power of sale sales reported on the Toronto MLS. Now I expanded my criteria, and the way that I look these listings up is with keywords in seller's name. So I look up words like power of sale, mortgage, as well as a lot of the B lenders that you see in Ontario. Those are normally the lenders that we see on these power of sale deals. So Equitable Bank, Home Trust, things along these lines. Again, if you want the full description and the keywords that I'm using for my power of sale search, just reach out. All the information is down in the description of the video. This was coming off the back of the kind of great financial crisis in 2008, right? So 960 power of sale sales in 2010. In 2011, that fell off to 628. And then really we bottomed out in 2017 with 126. We saw 130 in 2021 and 117 in 2022. We started feeling the market pressure at that point in time, but we didn't see power of sale deals happening yet because, again, people were not being forced to renew quite at that point in time. Yes, rates did climb pretty significantly later in the year, but that renewal wall wasn't felt until 23, 24, and then 25. And you can see that this chart, now those power of sale sales really pick up. So 246 in 2023, there were 398 in 2024, there were 566 in 2025. And the reason this chart falls off is because it only covers through January 31st of 2026, but we did have 50 power of sale sales occur in January of this year. So that's almost half the total that we saw back in 2022. Now, that's all great for hindsight data to show you the trends. I would expect to see more power of sale deals happening in 2026 than we saw in 2025. But if you're a buyer who's looking right now for power of sale opportunities, where can you find them most frequently across the GTA? This chart answers the question, where are the most power of sale listings right now across the GTA? So I've broken it down by region: Toronto, Durham, York, Peel, and Halton. Halton has the fewest opportunities of 25 total. That's 18 on the freehold side and 7 on the condo side. Whereas Toronto proper, that's including Etobicoke, Scarborough, North York, and City of Toronto proper. Right now we have 50 freehold power of sale listings, 62 on the condo side. To wrap up the GTA, you have Durham coming in with 29 total, that's 26 freehold. York region has 35 total power of sale listings right now, 37 are on the freehold side. And then when you get to Peel, you're looking at 72 power of sale listings, that's 47 on the freehold side and 25 on the condo side. I think these will be great charts for me to update in the future as we get into the year. We're just kind of coming into the time of year when we see the spring listing ramp up. We're starting to see sellers maybe come back to market, trying to get ahead of the rest of their competition. So I'd expect to see some pretty significant inventory growth over the next few months, definitely through May, June, when we'll see things peak out. And I'd expect to see power of sale listings climb in ratio with those total listings. So we'll take a look in a couple months' time where we're at with power of sale listings. But between now and then, if you have any questions about power of sales, if you want a list of power of sale properties in your area, scan the QR code that's on screen right now for the list that my brokerage puts together. And if you want something a little bit more specific in a city or a neighborhood that you are looking to purchase in right now and you're interested in learning more about these deals, reach out. Like I said, all of my information is in the description of this video. Thanks so much for sticking with me right through to the end of this video. Until we speak again next time, please stay safe and cheers. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you did enjoy it, check out some of the other videos that I've done that are on screen now.